Officer Tazayar, Banza Balawan, Ban Yashahala. Yahabashim Shabrakatam.
Again?
Yeah, go ahead. Ayashrala. Ayashrala. All right, with that, Amadium, which means to stand. Sar, which means to turn. Upanya Hakudam, which means to face the east. And we're going to start with the Lord's Prayer in the ancient Hebrew. Go ahead.
Abanawa.
Abanawa.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Kodad.
Kodad.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Shemka.
Shemka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Malakuka.
Malakuka.
Aba'ah.
Aba'ah.
Ratazaka.
Ratazaka.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Ma'arataza.
Barataza.
Kawa.
Kawa.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Mashemayim.
Bashman.
Latana.
Lathalanawa.
Lakam.
Lakum.
Ka.
Ka.
Yawam.
Yawam.
Wasalakna.
Wasalakna.
Kabawatna.
Kabawatna.
Kasalakna.
Kasalakna.
Kabawathina.
Kabawatna.
Walala.
Wala'ah.
Kabi'ana.
Kabi'ana.
Walasawan.
Barasayawan.
Abba.
Abo.
Aishana.
Habashayna.
Mayan.
Mayan.
Right.
Right.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Laka.
Laka.
Amalakwa.
Kamalakwa.
Pa'ala.
Wahala.
Wata para.
Wata para.
La'alumi.
La'ulami.
Amen.
Amen. Now what we said was, Our Father,
Our Father,
which art in heaven,
which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
thy kingdom
thy
come.
kingdom come.
Thy will be done
Thy will be done
in earth
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day
Give us today
our daily bread,
our daily bread.
and forgive us our debts,
Forgive us our debts
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not
Lead us not
into temptation,
into temptation,
but deliver us
but deliver us
from evil.
from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
Thine is the kingdom
and the power,
and the power
and the glory,
and the glory
forever.
forever.
So be it.
So be it. Lord's Prayer. Oh, this is the top in the last one. Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Bahasham,
Yahushua,
Yahusha,
Babakashah,
Babakasha,
Bathalana,
Nathalanao,
Haka,
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 La'apa.
Laraka'a,
It's like Kal Makala. It's like Kal Makala.
not Kalmakala,
Wakal Malawa.
Wakal Marawa,
Haka.
Haka,
What's a heart?
Latahar,
Hamatazariah.
Hamatazariah,
Haka.
Haka,
Lahakwi.
Ahakwil,
Hamathia.
Hamathir,
Haka.
Haka,
Arukawa.
Arakawa,
Atama'ala.
Hatama'ala,
Nagarashan.
Nagarashan,
Ma'asham.
Bahasham,
Yahushua.
Yahusha,
The water.
the water. Now we said was Yahweh,
Yahweh.
in the name of Yahushua,
In the name of the Yahushua,
please give us the power
please give us the
to heal
power to heal
all manner of sickness
all manner of sickness
and all manner of disease,
and all manner of
the
disease,
power to cleanse
power to
the
cleanse
leper,
lepers,
the power to raise the dead,
power to raise the dead,
the power against unclean spirits,
power against unclean spirits,
cast them out
to cast them out.
in the name of Yahushua.
In the name of Yahushua,
Thank you, so be it.
thank you, so be it. Okay, this is the blessing spirit. Barakatah Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh,
Wa Yahushua,
Wa Yahushua,
Wa Miyaka'ala,
Wa Mayaka'ala,
Wa Alahai,
Wa Alahaya,
Matazab Ya'ah,
Matazab Ya'ah,
Halawat Yahana,
Alawap Yahana,
Halawat Yah,
Ha'alawapya,
Hasaranya,
Hasaranya,
Hakwatazayayu,
Hakwatazayanya,
Hakayayayu,
Hakaya,
Wa Hakwatya,
Wa'akwatya,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'asham,
Ba'asham,
Yahushua,
Yahushua,
the water.
the water.
Amen.
Come on. All right. Now we're going to read in English. Bless you, Yahweh,
Bless you, Yahweh,
and Yahushua,
and Yahushua,
and Michael,
and Michael,
and the angel,
and the angels,
commanding General Yohanan,
commanding John Yohanan,
the general,
the generals,
the captain,
the captains,
the officer,
the officers,
the troop,
the
and the
troopers,
sisters.
and the sisters.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahweh Shai,
in the name of Yahushua,
thank you, so be it.
thank you so much. This is Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Asha,
Asha,
Ayanya,
Ayanya,
Ahahari,
Al-Hahariah,
Ma'ayan,
Ma'ayan,
Yaba'a,
Yaba'ah,
Azari,
Azariah,
Azari,
Azariah,
Ma'an,
Ma'ayan,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Asha,
Asha,
Shamayam,
Shamayam,
Wa'arataza,
Wa'arataza,
Al-Yatan,
Al-Yathar,
Lama Wat,
Lama Wat,
Regalka,
Regalka,
Al-Yalawam,
Al-Yanawam,
Shamarka,
Shamarka,
Hanala'a,
Hanala'ah,
Yanawam,
Yanawam,
Walala,
Wala'ah,
Yayashan,
Yayashan,
Shawamar,
Shawamar,
Yasha'ala,
Yasha'ala,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Shamarka,
Shamarka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Tazalka,
Azalka,
Al-Yad,
Al-Yad,
Yamyamka,
Yamyanka,
Yawamam,
Yawamam,
Hashamash,
Hashamash,
La Yakaka,
La Yakaka,
Wayarak,
Wayara,
Allah Yalak,
Malayla,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Yashamarka,
Yashamarka,
Makara,
Makarai,
Yashamar,
Yashamar,
Atnapash,
Apnapashka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Yashamar,
Yashamar,
Tazat,
Taza'atka,
Baba'at,
Wabawa'aka,
Mayata,
Ma'ata,
Wa'id Awalam.
Wa'aida Walam. In English, I will lift up my eyes into the hills,
I will lift up my eyes into the hills.
from whence cometh my help.
From whence cometh my help?
My help cometh from Yahweh,
My help coming from Yahweh,
which made heaven and earth.
which made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He that keepeth thee
He that keepeth thee
will not slumber.
will not slumber.
Behold,
Behold,
he that keepeth Yashar'Allah
he that keepeth Yahshua
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
The Lord is thy keeper.
The Lord is thy keeper.
The Lord is thy shade
The Lord is thy shade
upon thy right hand.
upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
nor the moon by night.
nor the moon by night.
The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil.
The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil.
He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
The Lord shall preserve thy going out
The Lord shall preserve thy going out
and thy coming in
and thy coming in,
from this time forth
from this time forth
and even forevermore.
and even forevermore. This is Psalms 80 of the 83rd chapter in Hebrew. Alahaya,
Alahai,
Adam Yalaka,
Al-Damayalaka,
Alta Karash,
Al-Taharash,
Alta Shakwat,
Al-Tashakwat,
Al
Al,
Kayahana,
Hayahana,
Awayabyaka,
Awayabyaka,
it's like Yahamayawan,
Yahamaya word,
Raash,
Sha'ash,
Al Amaka,
Al-Imaka,
Yamwa,
Ya'irayamwa,
Sawadat,
Sawadah,
Wayata,
Wayatah,
Yaitazawa,
Ya'itazawa,
Altazabawanyaka,
Al-Tazapawanyaka,
Amarwa,
Amarawa,
Lakawa,
Kawa,
Wanakatia Dam,
Wanakakidam,
Magawa,
Magawaya,
Wala Yazakar,
Wala'aya Zakar,
Sham Yashal,
Sham Yasha'al,
Awada,
Awadah,
Kaya,
Hayah,
Nawa Aitazawa,
Nawa'itazawa,
Laba,
Labah,
Yakabwa,
Yakadwa,
Al Yaka,
Al-Yakah,
Marya,
Baryah,
Yakarathwa,
Yakarathwa,
Alaya,
Ahalia,
Ahali, Adawam,
Adawam,
Wayashamayah,
Wayashamayala,
Mawa'aba,
Yamawa'aba,
Wagari,
Wahagariam,
Gabal,
Gabal,
Waimawan,
Wa'aimawan,
Waimalak,
Wa'aimalak,
Palashat,
Halashat,
I'm Yashabia,
I'm Yashabia,
Tazawar,
Tazawar,
Gamashawar,
Gamashawar,
Nalawa,
Nalawa,
I'm
Imam,
Imam, Hayawa,
Hayawa,
Zarawat,
Zarawat,
Labanya Lawat,
Labanya Lawat,
Salah,
Salah,
Ashalaham,
Ashalaham,
Kamadya,
Kamadya,
Kasaya Sarah,
Kasaya Sara'ah,
Kayabya,
Kayabya,
Manakal,
Banakal,
Payashwa,
Bayashwa,
Nashamadwa,
Nashamadwa,
Mayandara,
Bayandara,
Hayawa,
Hayawa,
Dama,
Daman,
Laadama,
La'adama,
Shaitamwa,
Shaitamwa,
Nadayab Mawa,
Nadaya Mawa,
Kaira,
Haira,
Wakazaba,
Wakazabah,
Wakazabak,
Wakazabah,
Wakatazal Manai,
Wakatazalmanai,
Kaunasai Kamwa,
Poundasai Kamwa,
Ashar,
Ashar,
Amarwa,
Amarwa,
Nairash,
Nairashad,
Nairashah, Lanawa,
Lanawa,
Ah, Nawat,
Na'awat,
Alahaya,
Alahayim,
Alahaya,
Alahayat,
Shayatamwa,
Sayathamwa,
Kagalgala,
Kagalgala,
Kakwash,
Shakwash,
Lapanya,
Lapanyah,
Wakar,
Rakha,
Kash,
Ka'ash,
Tabaira,
Taba'ira,
Yaira,
Ya'ira,
Wakalhabak,
Wakalhabak,
Talahat,
Salahat,
Hariyam,
Harayam,
Khan,
Khan,
Tharadafma,
Tharadafma,
Basairaka,
Basairaka,
Wabasa,
Wabasar,
Wapathka,
Wapathka,
Tabahalam,
Tabahalam,
Malak,
Malaa,
Panyaham,
Panyaham,
Palawan,
Palawan,
Wayabapashwa,
Wayabapashwa,
Shamka,
Shemka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Yaba, it's like Yabashwa,
Yabashwa,
Waya, Waya,
Waya,
Bahawa,
Bahalwa,
Ayai,
Ayai,
Waya Kaparwa,
Waya Kaparwa,
Waya Abadwa,
Waya Abadwa,
Waya Da'aiwa,
Waya Da'aiwa,
Kaya Ata,
Kaya Ata,
Shamka,
Shemka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Labadka,
Labaka,
It's like Al Yawan,
Al Yawan,
Al Kaharataza,
Al-Koha, Arakaza. Psalms 83 in the English. Keep not thou silence,
keep not thy silence,
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh,
Hold not thy peace,
hold not thy peace,
and be not still,
and be not still,
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh,
For lo,
for lo,
thine enemies make a tumult,
thine enemies make a tumult,
and they that hate thee
and they that hate thee
have lifted up the head.
have lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty counsel
They have taken crafty counsel
against thy people,
against thy people,
and consulted
and consulted
against thy hidden one.
against thy hidden ones.
They have said,
They have said,
come,
come,
and let us cut them
and
off
let us cut them off
from being a nation,
from being a nation,
that the name of Yahshua Allah
that the name of Yahshua
may be no more in remembrance.
may be no more in remembrance.
For they have consulted together
For they have consulted together
with one consent.
with one consent.
They are confederate against
They
thee,
are competitive against thee,
the tabernacles of Edom,
the tabernacles of Edom,
and the Ishmaelites
and the Ishmaelites
of Moab,
of Moab,
and the Hagarenes,
and the Hagarenes,
Gabal,
Gabal,
and Ammon,
and Ammon,
and the Amalek,
and Amalek,
the Philistines,
the Philistines,
with the inhabitants of Tyre.
with the inhabitants of Tyre.
Ashur also is joined with them.
Ashur also is joined with them.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
Salah.
Salah.
Do unto them
Do unto them
as unto the Midianites,
as unto the Midianites,
as to Sisera,
as to Sisera,
as to Jabin,
as to Jabin,
as the brook of Kaisan,
at the brook of Kaisan,
which perished at Endor.
which perished at Endor.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Make their nobles
Make their nobles
like Oreb
like Oreb
and like Zeid.
and like Zaid.
Yea,
Yea,
all their princes as Zabah
all their princes as Zabah
and as Dalmunna,
and as Amunah,
who said,
who said,
let us take to ourselves
let us take to ourselves
the houses of God in possession.
the houses of God in possession.
O Yahweh,
O Yahweh,
make them like a wheel,
make them like a wheel,
as the stubble before the wind,
as the stubble before the wind,
as the fire burneth the wood,
as the fire burneth the wood,
as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
So persecute them
So persecute them
with thy tempest,
with thy tempest,
and make them
and
afraid
make them afraid
with thy storm.
with thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame,
Fill their faces with shame,
that they may seek thy name,
they may seek thy name.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh,
Let them be confounded
let them be
and
confounded
in trouble forever.
in trouble forever.
Yea,
Yea,
let them be put to shame
let them be put to shame
and perish,
and perish,
that men may know
that men may know
that thou,
that thou,
whose name alone
whose name alone
is Yahweh,
is Yahweh,
art the most high
art the most high
over all the earth.
over all the earth.
All right, and with that, Sar, go ahead and sit down.
You 12?
Yes. There you go.
Are you overheating?
All right, that Mashabia, which means to sit. Now,
I don't blow the horn?
Huh?
Don't blow the horn one more time?
you go ahead and blow it. All right, now with that, Mashabia, which means to sit. Hey, Shalom, we're the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. We started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, 1969. We're under the commanding General Yohana, here to teach the truth of the Bible. The so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the real Israelites in the Bible. Today being the Sabbath service, you know what I'm saying, Saturday, the seventh day of the week, we come through and we hold Sabbath service here in San Antonio, and much like all the other schools around the ISUPK that are either holding it right now or have held it at some point since sundown of yesterday. And what we do in this particular setting is what we do in the Sabbath service. We read the Old Testament in chronological order in the ancient Hebrew. So as we read the excerpt of the ancient Hebrew, it gives us the opportunity to break down the Bible at an even deeper stance to really zero in on what's going on with the scriptures. All right. pardon me for a second. We got a priest that's he's a little bit ill, so we'll give him a moment to try to gather himself before we get started. But just to kind of recap, this would be a good time to recap what we've done. In the English, we're going to go ahead and back up just a little bit. Huh? Oh, you got to get it out of the system. Yeah, Genesis, we left off in Genesis chapter 34, okay? Genesis chapter 34 is it was considered a turning point right after a major turning point, because this was right after Jacob and Esau had seen each other after, a long time where they had been separated. Jacob had went and built his family, and Esau went to build their family. And so you can consider it much of a reunion. But after this took place, then there was a settlement that took place where Jacob basically started living in a particular land. And in that land, there were other people that were out there. One of his daughters, Dinah, matter of fact, while we're waiting for him to come back, let's read in the English real quick. Go to Genesis 34, start at verse 1, just to see if we can try to give him some time to gather himself. All right. Genesis 34 and 1. While we recap that. Now, again, we finished off at verse 14. We're going to be going into verse 15, but we're just recapping shortly what went on at the beginning of this chapter. Dinah, who is the daughter of Leah, which was one of Jacob's daughters, basically had technically gadded abroad. That's there's a scripture that comes to mind when that takes place. What's up? Oh, someone's at the door. All right. So basically, what was going on is that Dinah went out into the city, and this is what typical. It's very typical, especially Israelite women, younger women. They want to have fun. They want to go out into the city. They want to, they want to look and see the sights. That old song that girls just want to have fun. That is no different than today, because women are always trying to especially if they got kids. You know what I'm saying? They always want to go out and take the kids to the park, find ways to spend all your money by going to Six Flags, going to theme parks. Well, Dinah was trying to see try to see what the land had to offer. Go ahead and get that brother a chair. Shalom, bro. Go ahead and give him a chair so you can sit down. And it's gonna be on this side, of course. It gave her the opportunity. She took the opportunity to go into the land to see what was up. But just so happens that she had caught the eye of one of the royal members of that land, which would be the king's son. And so that's what we're reading about in Genesis chapter 34 and verse 1. This ain't no different than what you see nowadays when you see sisters go out into the city and they go into the clubs, they go into the bars, they're trying to go to the shopping malls, and one of the heathens that are round about us takes note of them and tries to sway them into their influence, tries to spit game to them, to try to, to try to coerce that sister into living their lifestyle, into assimilating into their family. And right away, we see in the Bible a very extreme example of that. And what's crazy about this is how it relates to today. So we're going to read that briefly while we wait for our reader to come back from the restroom. Go ahead. Genesis chapter 34, verse 1.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 34, and verse 1.
Go ahead.
And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land.
Went out to see the what?
The daughters of the land.
So what does that mean? That means that she didn't go out with the intention of looking for boys to holler at, right? She went out there to make some friends. This is very much so what you see nowadays. You know what I mean? Especially if a daughter has siblings and she is one of the older ones, which is pretty far removed from the others. A lot of times what will happen is a daughter will then want to try to branch out and have friends that are around her own age, try to find peers that she can relate to, they can talk about the things that they want to talk about. Now, of course, they didn't have no social media back then. There was no internet. So she couldn't just go on the internet and look at TikTok and Instagram and add people on her friends list there. She had to physically go to a place to do what? Read that last part. To see the what?
To see the daughters of the land.
So she went out there to see if she could, try to get to know people in the area. Keep going.
Verse 2. When Sichem, the son of Hamor,
Sichem.
it's like a Sichem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, prince of the country.
So what is this? So we're zeroing in on two important people here. Dinah, which was the daughter of Jacob, and then Sichem, the Hivite, which is telling you who his father was, what his lineage is, right? And it says that he was the prince of the country, meaning what? That he was royalty in that land, just like how we mentioned. Keep going.
Saw her. He took her and lay with her and defiled her.
Now, there's a lot that says a lot in one sentence, okay? Because this right here is, how do I say, this summarizes the end all be all of what happened. It's kind of like, you know how someone says long story short, right? When someone says long story short, they're just giving you the quick and, you know what I'm saying, dirty, as opposed to what happened that particular encounter. So the end result was she went out to see the land. She ended up getting married. Well, not according to their customs, but she had laid with somebody that had basically found her attractive and spit game to her. It's going to continue to break that down. So this dude Sichem basically took on that how do I say, that affection. Twitter pated is a term that has come to mind. He got Twitter pated. Twitter pated is when you are attracted to a female and it makes you act all googly eyed and romantic and where you want to try to, you know what I mean? You're trying to either show off in front of your friends or try to look good in front of her by, you know what I'm saying, carrying yourself in a manner that's gonna get you the prize or get you the result that you want when you're trying to chase after, a woman. Now it says right here, he took her and lay with her, and what else did he do? That last part.
And defiled her.
Defiled her. The word defiled here, it says Ainah, which means to put down, to become low, to humble. It says to mishandle, to afflict, to humiliate. So all these different things here are what the end result of was with this encounter between the prince and Jacob's daughter. You understand? And so this is outlining our culture. What's going on here is that we're talking about an example of something that wasn't necessarily the right thing to happen, right? And so the Most High is putting this in the scriptures for us to learn from, because one, we're not supposed to have our daughters out there mingling amongst the other nations because things like that could happen. You know what I mean? Things like rape could happen. I'm not saying that that's what happened in this case because it's going to explain. Read on.
Verse 3. And his soul clave unto Dinah.
Yeah, you ever been attracted to a female so much that you just can't stop thinking about her? You know what I'm saying? Where you just got her on the mind all the time. That's what happened with this dude because he was so attracted to her. Now imagine this: you're the prince of an entire, region, right? You got all access to the females that are there, the Hittites, or what does it say, the Hivites, all the people that are in that area, right there next to you. And the moment that somebody new comes along that stands out from the rest, that's what makes him cleave unto her, because she was unique. There is a uniqueness about Israelite women that our people have to take into consideration, because this is exactly what happened with Eve. This is exactly what happened with modern day, sisters that grow up here, that get put on this pedestal to be presented in front of the world as an object of desire, right? You think of Beyonce as an example. You think of, heck, any of the sisters, Jennifer Lopez, right? Sisters that grew up here in America, and they are seen as such a prize to be had that they get coerced by the other nations to live a certain lifestyle that doesn't actually push our culture forward. And if anything, it holds it back. And another thing too is that it breaks the commandments that the Most High had for us from the beginning, because we come to find out after we left out of Egypt that we're not supposed to be slacking. This was actually in Deuteronomy where I mentioned it, where we're not supposed to be mingling with the other nations, marrying our sons into their daughters, and taking their daughters into our sons, or marrying our daughters into their sons, and so on and so forth, right? And so That's why when we read about this, it's important to understand that just because somebody wants to be nice, niceness is not always correct. When somebody is being nice to you, that doesn't mean that you have to go and give yourself over to them. And that's the issue with Christianity today, because our people get so caught up in the fact that the people around us try to be nice to us to get along with them, when really it always leads to our destruction. You understand? That's always what happens. To this day, our people are so blinded by that now we think that God's coming to save everybody. Now we think that salvation is for everybody. And in the meantime, we've become lazy with doing our own research, that we're not reading the scriptures to find out whether or not that's true. We're just going off of what feels good. And that's exactly what happened here, is that Dinah went out amongst the other nation and she did what felt good at the time. And sometimes that's a test to see if you have what it takes to show your level of discipline. And so let's continue. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
A lot of sisters have that spirit to this day. A lot of sisters out in the world will go out and they'll go out with their friends, not intended to sleep with no man, but then end up doing it.
Exactly. I mean, this isn't related to the scripture, but there's a scripture that talks about mixing and mingling strong drink, right?
Oh yeah.
So what is it that always gets our sisters to really lose their discipline and their focus? It's the strong drink. It's the wine. It's the margaritas, the liquor, the vodka. You know what I mean? The cocktails that they get at the clubs. And now I'll take it even one further. What's the first thing a guy does at a club or at a bar when he wants to talk to a girl? Offers them a drink, right? And so that is a part of the game. They call it liquid courage, right? They call it liquid courage because it loosens up the person that you're trying to holler at. But it also is, if somebody is drinking themselves, it's going to give them the I guess you could say, the calm, relaxed mentality that it takes to spit that game. And this is exactly what happened right here, because it says Genesis 34:1. It says, and his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob. Read on.
34:3. And he loved the damsel.
And he what?
And he loved the damsel.
And he loved the damsel. Read on.
And spake kindly unto the damsel.
And spoke what?
And spake kindly unto the damsel.
Now, hold that and give me Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. Hold that and give me Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 6 and verse 5. Okay? Because this is a tactic right here. This is actually completely true. Speaking kind words is a way to gain people's favor.
You said chapter 6?
Yeah, Ecclesiasticus chapter 6 and give me verse 5.
I see it.
So hold on, read now. Hold, because you can't switch between it, so I'll do it for you. So I'm gonna read what we just read. It says, and spake kindly to the damsel. This is what the prince did. He spoke kindly to the damsel. All right, read on. Read what you got right there.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 6 and verse 5. Sweet language will multiply friends.
Sweet language does what?
Will multiply friends.
Sweet language will multiply friends. This is a very simple thing to understand, but the scriptures is here to give you guidance on how to operate in your lifetime. Now, a lot of us grow up shy as hell. Don't know how to talk to no females. Don't know how to actually go about, you know what I mean? Socializing and things like that. But a scripture like this is very straightforward. That showing your sweet language is what is you being kind to somebody, right? And that's kind of what spitting game is being kind, because not necessarily you're going to go up and start talking rude to somebody. You're not going to gain their favor like that. You have to use sweet language to multiply your circle of friends that you build, right? Read on.
And fair speaking tongue, and a fair speaking tongue will increase kind greetings.
A fair speaking tongue will increase kind greetings. Go back to Genesis 34. I just want to bring that real quick because that does work, right? And it worked on Dinah in this case. I don't even know if it's Dinah. Let me actually look up the Hebrew. Diana. It's Diana. That's how we say her name in Hebrew. All right. Diana. All right, so now let's go ahead and get back to that. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And Shechem spake unto his father Hamor, saying, Give me this damsel to wife.
Give me this damsel to wife. So what is it what is the first mistake here? The first mistake here is that the order of things was not correct, right? Because here he was getting a hold of this woman, speaking the language to her, getting, trying to show up. He's definitely showing off. He's a prince, you know what I'm saying? He could stroll up with the gold on, you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily describe how he did it, but he enticed her into laying with him. And now he wants to go and do the whole marriage ceremony and do all the official, things that require the father of that woman. There's an order to things, and that order was disrespected in this case, right? Because of somebody's lust, somebody's strong desire. And that's something that can lead to a destruction of an entire city. You know what I mean? You got to be careful about what you feel is right. You have to have more discipline than these other nations have. They don't have discipline. You know what I mean? They do what feels good. They may show some level of morality, but we can't trust them to be consistent in that. You understand? Much like how even in our days here, we can't even trust to be consistent with ourselves without us coming into these scriptures. So how much more should we be more careful around the other nations, because they are actually not ones that were given enough law and order to be able to consistently do the right thing. Now, do you want to go ahead and read, brother? Yeah. Since he stepped out, go ahead and give me verse. You good? Go ahead and give me verse 5.
Verse 5. And Jacob heard that he had found Dinah.
Yeah, what would you say, Dinah?
Dinah, his daughter.
Yeah.
Now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they were come.
So Jacob definitely is considering everything that's going on. See, the first thing Jacob did, now we just talked about discipline, right? When Jacob heard that his daughter had basically been taken into a marriage, encounter with somebody from these other people round about, that the first thing that he did was he held his tongue. So we're seeing examples already that line right up with our biblical culture. Jacob being, the father of all the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, he wanted to see what his sons had to say. That's a man that raised righteous sons that trusts in their judgment to make the right decision. But instead of him going off and wanting to, start cutting heads off and everything like that, he held his peace. And he wanted to make sure that he had everything in order first before making any moves. And so Jacob is very tactical in this sense. And this is something just from this small scripture saying this, it tells you the kind of mentality that it takes to be a leader of a nation. Because when something tragic happens, that you have to prepare yourself before anything tragic happens, because you got to understand your situation. Jacob was surrounded by other nations. He had his tribes and his gathering, or I guess you could say the people that he had in this society he was building. It wasn't at the level that could compete in war, in full out war with the people around him. So when something like that happens, and especially it being the prince of that entire city, right, of that entire culture, the Hivites, that now he has to be very careful of what he does next. Go ahead.
And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out into Jacob to commune with him. Verse 7. And the sons of Jacob came out to the field when they heard it.
Mm-hmm.
And the men were grieved, and they were very wroth, because he had brought falling in Israel in line with Jacob's daughter.
All right, can you Taziar give him the garment?
Oh, yeah.
Taziar, you just gotta help him read, all right? I definitely want to get to where we was getting to in the scriptures. that's just basically the background of what was going on. The background was basically where we was left off with last time in verse 15 was after the fact that that thing happened. And then, of course, what's the guy's name? Hamor, which is the father of Shechem, wanted to try to find some kind of a way to make a deal so that he could get what he wants in Jacob's daughter, and that everybody stay peaceable with one another. And so we're gonna pick up on that, but in a second, let's go ahead and introduce. Actually, you would say young man. All right, so come on up right here. You ever done Sabbath service before? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna say young man, and then say your name, and then say which tribe you're from, and then say that you're a son of Israel. Meaning, like you say, young man. What is your name?
Brandon.
Was it
Brandon?
Brandon. Say young man Brandon. Ban. Was it Judah?
Judah.
Ban Yehuda and Ban Yasha'Allah. If I need to say it with you, I'll do that. That's no sweat. So say young man Brandon.
Young man Brandon.
Ban Yehuda.
Ban
Yasha'Allah.
Yasha'Allah.
All right. And then we repeat it after you. Young man Brandon. Ban Yehuda. Ban Yasha'Allah. Now what you'll do is you'll stand at Amajim, and then you'll say Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakatah. Yahweh Bahasham Yahushua Barakatah. Yahweh Bahasham Yahushua Barakatah. Sorry, Christ. All right, now you can go ahead and come up here.
Move on.
Sit, man. All right, turn that way. You're gonna take it with your left hand, and then you're gonna turn this way. And then you go ahead and say La Yasha'Allah, which means to Israel. Go ahead and raise the glass and say La Yasha'Allah.
La Yasha'Allah.
La Yasha'Allah.
La Yasha'Allah. Now just go ahead and sip that right quick. Time Christ. All right, with that, Meshaggim, which means to sit. We're just gonna continue, but this time what we're gonna do is
Also,
there's a great opportunity here to kind of show some of the cats that that are tuning in that may not be completely familiar with the Sabbath service. So what you'll do is you'll have your phone with you, all right? And this is how we read the Hebrew in during the Sabbath service. So there's an app that you want to download called the Bible Hub app. The Bible Hub app is you can find in the iTunes store. You can find it in the Play Store if you're on Android. And it's called the Bible Hub app. You might be able to find it right quick if you get it. Bible Hub, there you go. Let's see. Bible, yeah, that looks like it's it right there.
what chapter was it? Or
34.
and 34.
We're going to start at verse 15.
So I don't think I was the once we did. I think you just wanted like him to look at it and like see it.
Okay, no, I get it. So he's gonna be able to follow along, but you're gonna be the one reading. Okay, yeah, because you're gonna be reading it for him. Are y'all both using iPhones? iPhones.
Yeah.
Good. That way, it look the same when you get it on your phone too. So when you get that,
it won't let me download it. I got it.
That's all right because he's got it on his phone anyway.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and we're gonna read it in the Hebrew first, and then we're gonna read it in the English. So we're going to Genesis. So what you could do is, he already got you on there. So you click on that drop down where it says 34:1, right there at the top. We'll go back real quick. There's a little tab right here that lets you pick which verse that you got to go to. So we're gonna go to chapter 34 and verse 15.
Okay.
So when we get to verse 15, that's gonna basically get us right where we left off. Now, this is some pretty drastic stuff going on. So when Shechem and his father met with Jacob and his sons, and of course Dinah, she was there present. They had made a deal. They said, "Listen, if you want to take our sister to wife, then y'all need to be circumcised like the way we're circumcised. If you're willing to do that, if you and everybody in your entire city is willing to do that, then we'll allow y'all to be one of us. Then we'll allow our sister here, or in Jacob's case, his daughter, Dinah, to then marry with this Hivite, right? Like, remember, Israel was not necessarily a nation that, a complete nation at that point, meaning we didn't have enough growth to then marry amongst the tribes yet, because we were still, I mean, you're talking about the actual 12 sons being the ones that that were there present at the time. So they didn't have children and grandchildren to marry amongst one another and start to build a nation. But you had other people that were around them that may be considered as prospect, groups of people to start having the children, marry unto and things like that. But there's going to be parameters set to actually make that actually, what do you call it? That they'll qualify them for that. And that's what you're reading about. So, Copyard, go ahead and help them with it. But that way you can at least start seeing some of those characters. Just keep an eye on the page there, because you're going to start reading it in the Hebrew.
We don't pay attention to these parts because that's like the Yiddish. That's a Yiddish version of it.
Right. So just to kind of further explain, when we read the Hebrew, if you look on that board right there in the back on the right side, you'll see that there is two columns. You have the ancient Hebrew, and then right next to it, you have the modern, quote unquote, modern Hebrew. It's the Assyrian Hebrew from, we'll say about anywhere between 900 to 700 BC, right? And so that Hebrew is what has carried over into today. However, the way that they say those characters is different from the original way those characters were said, meaning this, there were no vowels originally. So when we read it, we're not reading it like it's Yiddish. We're reading it like it's ancient Hebrew. It's just using those characters instead. So that we'll talk about more on that later. But we're going to go ahead and read it here. Go ahead, Copier. Make sure you got get to mic there really good.
Baza.
Uh-huh.
Nanawath. Lakam. Sahaya. Sagataya. Sahayawa.
Sahayawa, yeah.
Kamanau. Lahamau.
Lahamau.
Lakam. Kau. Zakar.
You going?
Verse 16. Wanathan. It's like Wanathanawa.
Yeah.
Ath. Wanathayana. Wanathayana. Lakam. Wa'ath. Wanathayakau. Wanathayakams. Like,
but not Yakam.
But not Yakam. Nakwa. Anawa. Washabanau. Waya Shabanau.
Yeah.
Athakam. Wahaya Yanau. La'an. Akkad.
Verse 17.
Verse 17. Wa'am. La'a. Tashamau. Alayanu. Lahamanawa. Lahamawal.
Take your time with it.
Turn.
Lahamawal.
Lahamawal. Walakwanau.
Walakwathnawa.
Walakwathnawa. Ath. Wathanau. Wahalakanau.
Wahalaknawa.
Sorry, Wahalaknau. And these are very words in the beginning. Verse 18. Wayayatabau.
Go ahead.
Dabarayahum.
The bar, Yahum.
The Barians.
Ba'ayanya.
Barianya. It's like Hamawar.
Hamawar.
Hamawar. It's like. Waba'ai Yanai.
No, Ba'ayanya.
Waba'ai Yanya. Shakam. Ban. Kamawar.
Right. In verse 19.
Verse 19. Wala'a. Akar. Hana'ar. La'ashwa.
La'aishawa. Yep.
Adabar. Kaya. Kapai. Kaparatiza. Anath. It's like Baba Na. Baba Tha.
But it's just a baba.
Ababath. Yaakov. Wahawa'a. Nakabad. Makar. Bayath. Abayaw. Verse 20. Wayaba'a. It's like Kamawa. Washakam. Banawa. Al. Sha'ar.
Yep.
Ayaram.
Why the bar?
Why the Barwa? Al. Anashaya.
Anashia.
Say Anashia. Ayaram. Lana. Say Lamar.
All right, last verse.
Verse 21. Ha Anashim. Hala. Say Hala'a.
Ha'ala.
Hala. Hold on.
Shalom.
Hold on.
Yo, verse 21, right?
Hold on. Gotcha. Genesis 34 and 21?
Yeah. Just start from the top again.
Hana Aish. Ha'a Nashayam. Ha'ala. Shalama. It's like Shalamayam. Ham. Athanawa. Wayashabawa. Ba'aratiza. Waya'ai Karau. Atha. Wa'aratiza. Hanaha. Rakabath. Yadayam. Lapanya. Lapanyam. Ath. Banatham. Nakwa. Manawa. Lanashia. What thought? Sorry?
Lanashia. Yeah.
Banath. But yeah, it's like Banathayam. Nathan. Laham.
All right. So we usually what we do is when we read in the Hebrew, we'll read 7 verses at a time, and then we'll go back and read it again in the English so we can break down what we read. This is the interaction when Dinah and Jacob and all them had first came across There you go. I first came across them and their family. Hey, can you check to see if the stream is still on?
Oh, let's go.
Check the computer.
That's all. That's all.
All right. All right, so go ahead and give me Genesis chapter 34, verse 15 in the English. I started verse 14 because I just need to read that part real quick before we go to 15. Matter of fact, give me verse 13. So we can recap on what was going on. Go ahead.
For me.
Oh yeah, I'll let you.
Verse 13. And the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor, his father, deceitfully, and said, because he had defiled Dinah, their sister.
So what was going on was that the sons of Jacob answered them deceitfully, meaning what? That they played along with the deal that was being made. They wanted to go ahead and see what they had to say, and this is what they said deceitfully to them. Go ahead, verse 14.
And they said unto them, we cannot do this thing to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, but that were a reproach unto us.
Right. So that was a big thing. They held that sacred. They held that custom that goes all the way back to I believe it was Abraham, right? That goes all the way back to their forefathers. That's something that is to be done for their entire family. And for somebody to be joined into them that isn't like that is a reproach, meaning what? Is a disgrace. It is a shame to them. So they took it very serious. So now we're going to verse 15. This is what we just read in the Hebrew. Go ahead.
Verse 15. Oh, sorry.
Verse 15. But in this we can say unto you, if ye be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised.
It says what? That every what?
Every male of you be circumcised.
Now here's the thing. I really understand the gravity of this, because he's saying y'all wanna join unto us, not just Shechem, but every man in your entire city, tribe, whatever, civilization. Y'all all have to get circumcised, and it's different. I don't even want to imagine what it'd be like to get circumcised once you're at a certain age. When you're a baby, you won't even remember that pain. You know what I'm saying? You won't. Now you'll be crying. You'll definitely be crying when you're a child and you go through that. But it's not something that stays with you your whole life. That happened on what, the 8th day? The baby you can't remember what happened to you when you was 8 days old. These cats is gonna endure this pain. You know what I'm saying? At whatever age they are, 15, 30, 40, you know what I'm saying? This is, and you got to understand this too. Do you think that they would do that gladly? No. But who is it that's going to want to make sure that this gets done? It's going to be Shechem and his father Hamor, who are the prince and the king of the Hivites. And so if they really want this deal to happen so that their father can have his son be married and be happy, they're going to order for their entire, Hivite nation to have that circumcision done. You understand? And remember, this is what's being said deceitfully. Okay? Remember that. Because these sons of Jacob, they were not playing. They wanted to make sure that they felt the pain of what it was like for them to disgrace their family and to disgrace their sister. You understand? And so let's read what happens. Go ahead.
Verse 16. Then will we give our daughters unto you, and we will take your daughters to us.
That seems fair, right? Because not only then would they have the opportunity to see what we about, who we got in our nation, but then that'll give the sons of Jacob access to the Hivite women, right? It seemed like a fair trade, right? And then they get circumcised and they have to go through that sacrifice. But hey, that's what it takes to be a part of this group. You know what I mean? To be a part of what Jacob and his sons got going on. Read on.
And we will dwell with you, and we will become one people.
Yep. Go ahead.
Verse 17. But if ye will not hearken unto us to be circumcised, then will we take our daughter and we will be gone.
And it's crazy because it's the sons that are saying that we will take our daughter. You understand? It's almost like, remember when Jacob held his peace before saying anything until his sons got there? Jacob is allowing his sons to show their leadership. And that's why even in this case, I mean, that's their sister. Why is it that he's saying we will take our daughter? Because they're speaking on behalf of their father. You understand? Because they want to earn and maintain the respect of their father's house. And so they don't even try to bring the glory into themselves. They're trying to talk about this because their household and their father's name is the name that needs to be feared and made to be respected. You understand? That's what these sons of Jacob are showing these Hivites, and understanding that, one, we got a culture, we got a way of doing things, and if you don't like it, we're gonna take our daughter and get up out of here. And you're gonna miss that opportunity. So either you make this decision now or it's over, and you ain't gonna be able to do that. Now, mind you, they saying this deceitfully, knowing what? Knowing that this woman had already laid down with this man. So technically they were already married, but there was going to be some kind of dowry that's required. And even beyond that, this is something that is in a bit of an extreme case, because you're talking about them circumcising themselves. Now, how the heck do you do that, 2,000s of years BC? With what, a sword? Sharp rock? I don't like, come on now, that's got to be painful. You understand? And so that's what's going on here. There's a level of humility that the sons of Jacob are trying to get these cats to realize. Go ahead. Let's continue here.
Verse 18. And their words pleased Hamor, and Shem, Hamar's son.
Yeah, go ahead.
And the young man deferred not to do the thing, because he had delight in Jacob's daughter.
That's just a fancy way of them saying, yeah, he wanted to go ahead and go through with it because he'll do whatever it takes to earn dinner, right? Go ahead.
And he was more honorable than all the house of his father.
Right. Keep going.
And Hamor and Shechem, his son, came unto the gate of their city, and communed with the men of their city, saying, these men are peaceable with us. Therefore let them dwell in the land and trade therein for the land.
So they're right now they got to convince, or not necessarily convince, but they need to convey and communicate with the people of the city. So they hear the deal, they accept the conditions, and then they go and they're talking, and it says, into the gate of their city and commune with the men of the city, saying, these men are peaceable with us. Let's see if there's a beneficial relationship that can be built here. And, how do you entice men of the city? By letting them know, hey, look, they're going to be able to trade with us. They're going to be able to, marry their daughters unto us. You see this one my son just got. Dinner. Imagine your sons getting access to females that look like this. Now it starts to, hey, you know what? Maybe that deal wasn't so bad. Maybe now the Hivites are looking, they looking in a hopeful sense, being like, hey, man, listen, this might be a good idea. Oh, we got to do what? We got to circumcise ourselves. Shoot, we'll do it. Because if this is the reward we get for doing it, shoot, ain't nothing but a small sacrifice and temporary pain for all of the benefits that could come from that, right? So they're over there convincing their men about the conditions that were set. Go ahead.
It is large enough for them.
Yeah.
Let us take their daughters to us for wives, and let us give them our daughters.
Right, they're trying to assimilate amongst each other. That's part of the deal. Go ahead.
Only herein will the men consent unto us for to dwell with us, to be one people. If every male among us be circumcised as they are circumcised.
Right, so that's the deal. That's the kicker, right?
We didn't read verse 22.
Huh?
Verse 22, we didn't read it.
My bad. Yeah, you're right.
All
right. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Appreciate you mentioning that. All right. So what we left off right there, we finished in verse 21 in the Hebrew. Now we're going to go ahead and read. Let me see. We're going to go ahead and read the next. We're going to finish the chapter. Okay, because it's until verse 31. So we're just going to go ahead and read through the rest of it. So now we can go back to the Bible Hub app. And you said you weren't able to download it?
No, I got it.
Hey, no sweat. We'll try to get that done later. But yeah, he's gonna go back to the Bible Hub app. We're gonna pick right back up on verse 22. But make sure you read it loud. That way, he can hear the pronunciation of how you're saying these characters. You understand? And hold it right here so he can see it too. That way he could follow and have show where you're at so he can see what characters you're saying. Because the sooner that you start to see these words, the sooner your brain will start to pick up on how it.
Then I can't see it.
Huh?
Then I can't see it.
Just go like this.
I'm hella blind right now.
You gotta zoom in. You can zoom in on it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you better use your glasses.
I can't see.
I mean, you are reading, right?
Not to. Verse 23. Makwana.
Good.
What else like it? Wakwanayanam. Waka. Bahamatam. Halawa. Wanau. Ham. It's like ham. Ak. Araka. Na'awata. Laham. Waishabawa. Athanawa. Verse 24. Yes. Wayashamawa.
You said verse 24.
Wayashamawa. Ow. Come a war. Wow. Shakam. Wanawa. Like cow. Yatazai. Shai.
Ayarawa.
Ayarawa. Wayamau. Ka. Zakar. Ka. Yatazai. Shai. Ayawa.
Ayarawa.
Ayarawa. It's like,
Go ahead.
and verse 25. Wayahaya. Wayawam.
Shalashya.
Hashalashya.
It says shalayashya, but we know shalash is also a third also. Go ahead.
Bahayawatam.
There you go. Go to interlinear. Go back. Interlinear. And then you're going to go to Genesis 34. Oh, yeah. Click on where it says John first. Yeah, Genesis 34 and 25. Start that verse one more time.
Yeah.
That way he can follow along with where you're at.
Wayahaya.
Wayahaya.
Wayahaya. It's like Wayawa. It's like Wayawam. Hashalai. Hashalayashwa.
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 Hashalayashwa. Yeah, my bad.
Hashalayashwa. Bahayawatham. Ka'abayam. Wayakwawa.
Wayakwawa.
It's like Wayakwawa. Shania. Panaya. Yaakov. Shema. It's like Shemaiwa. Shemaiwa. Walawaya. Akya. Dayana. Ayash. Karavawa. Rayabao. How?
Ayara.
Kaira. Bataka.
Ata.
Bata. Wayaha Ragawa. Ka. Zakar. Verse 26. Oh no, you find one fast. Waath. Amar. It's like how. Yeah, it's like
Come
come
war.
war. It's like Waath. Shakam. Banawa. Haragawa. Lapaya. Karaba. Karab. It's like
Yep.
way a crowd. Dayana. Mabaya. Shakam. Waya Tazao. Verse 27. Banaya. Yaakov. Ba. It's like a bow. Ow. Hakal Layam. Hakal Layam. Waya Bazak. Waya Bazao. Hayar. Ashar. Tamao. Akawatham. Verse 28. Ath. Tazanam. Waath. Bakaram. Waath. Kamaria. Waath. Ashar. Baayar. Waath. Ashar. Bashada. Bashada. Lakau. Lakfahwa.
Yep.
Verse 29. Waath. Ka. Kayalam. Waath. Ka. Tapam. Waath. Nashiaham. Shabao. Wayabazao. Waath. Ka. Ashar. Babayath. Verse 30. Wayamar. Yaakov. Al. Shemaiah. Wow. It's like wow. Lawaya. It's like Ikarathian. Athaya. La'a. It's like Lahaba'a Yashana.
Right. The root word there is ba'ash.
Ba'ash.
Yeah. Ba'ash. So ba'ayash is the word repugnant, which means to stink. Go ahead.
Yash. No. Lahabayash. Bayash. طيب ويا الشعب حارس وكنعين
Bakanaanya.
وكنعين وبطا رزايا وعنايا مثايا مسابايا
Masapar.
مسابار sorry ونا أساباو عليا
Wahakawanya.
وهكوانيا ونشا مداثي أنايا وبياثيا
Go ahead. Keep going.
ويامار هكذاونا ياشا عاث أكوثانا sorry أكوثانا verse that was it.
Now let's go back, read it into English. Where do we start off? Verse 22.
Okay.
So things changed really quickly. If you were reading some of the words we were going over, we read that stuff went down, to say the least. And so now let's get it into English. Go ahead.
Verse 22. Only herein will the men consent unto us for to dwell with us, to be one people.
Right.
If every male among us be circumcised as they are circumcised.
Right. Remember this. They were saying this deceitfully, right? And so they were saying this to have them let their guard down, but also thinking about this too. If they go through with this, that's going to put them in the position where they're going to be weak, right? Which is going to give them the opportunity to strike back to do what? To avenge the disgrace that was brought upon their family. Go ahead.
Verse 23. Shall not their cattle and their substance and every beast of their be ours, be theirs be ours? So like, only let us consent unto them, and they will dwell with us.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 24. And unto Hamar and unto Shehem, his sons hearkened all that went out of the gate of his city.
Right.
And every male was circumcised, all that went out of the gate of his city.
Right. So now they all went and did that circumcision, right? They all went and did that. Go ahead.
And it came to pass on the third day, when they were sore.
When they were what?
Sore.
And when we read it in Hebrew, it said pain, when they were in pain. So we know that the sore it's talking about was the soreness from after having the circumcision, right? Now, yeah, that's going to take a while for that to heal up and for them to be, back to 100%. Right now, they're not at 100%. So it says it came to pass on the third day when they were sore. Go ahead.
That two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Deniah, brethren, took each man his sword and came upon the city boldly and slew all the males.
And this was crazy about this. Now, of course, this was very tactical, but there was just 2 men versus a whole city of men. Now you gotta imagine this too, because damn, this is cinematic right here. I mean, you couldn't even make a movie about this, but you gotta understand how tactical they must have operated to be able to, to go to succeed in such a undercover behind enemy lines kind of mission. First they deceived them, got them to become weak, and then they went out there and killed all the men. And mind you, this is amongst women and children. This is very graphic what we're reading right here. This isn't something that to be glossed over. The Christian church, they'll never read this. They won't understand this when they read it. That's why a Christian pastor will see this in the Bible and be like, hey, and then he won't teach a sermon on it. They'll never teach a sermon on it But this is the exact culture that the Israelites had operated in. They were not going to play none of that. To be disrespected like that, they didn't even care. Like Simeon and Levi, of course, some of the tribes of Israel. These brothers right here, excuse me, these brothers right here were about that action. Especially Levi, being that he was going to eventually be the priest. His sons would be the priests of Israel for a time. That they did not want to even consider actually going through with assimilating with these people. You understand? Mm-hmm. But they still got the benefits of merging with them. What you got to say, Pedro?
I was going to say, this is where a lot of our people have been misled. Because a lot of people in the world think that the Bible is about it's supposed to be for people who are soft, the pastor's supposed to be soft and delicate and soft-spoken, but they don't understand that the men in the Bible were all warriors.
Yeah.
They was killing people in there, just like David. He was killing a lot of people.
Yeah.
They take this Bible and look at it and think it's effeminate. They make this Bible look effeminate.
That's that Roman Jesus.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With the
love.
toga. He got the toga on. He got the perm, right? You know what I mean? The soft beard, soft spoken. That's not the Jesus of the Bible. These aren't the Israelites. When they describe that in the movies, they have all, they reserve all their masculine movies for when the Romans are conquering stuff, when the Greeks are conquering stuff. You watch the 300, right? You watch movies like The Immortals. Those are the hardcore men. When it's a biblical movie, it's, you got to be soft. You got to be gentle. That's not how it was.
Turn the other cheek and everything.
Yeah. We read about King David. We read about young David taking out Goliath. That was a gruesome scene. That was like something from the movie Troy, where it was a 1v1 and whole group of people just getting ready to fight, and then them two fought instead, and a lot of lives were saved because of that. But what's happening right now is that Israel is making a name for themselves, a name that is not to be shamed. You understand? And here's the thing, Jacob, he's of course going to have things to say about what these men have just did. But we're going to read on. Let's go ahead and get more of this. We'll see what's going on. What was we at?
Verse 26.
Mm-hmm.
And they slew Hamor, Shem, his sons with the edge of the sword.
Damn. Go ahead.
And took Deniah out of Shechem's house and went out.
Go ahead. Verse
27. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and spoiled the city.
No, they did what? No, so they did. You know what's crazy? What's crazy is that whenever there's chaos going on in any city and there's riots, and you see Israelites being, the kind of people we are, they call us thugs and looters. Whenever there's you see brothers running out of the store with the big screen TV, right? Like, they're going to take the opportunity to get what they can, right? We in hell. We trying to build our nation. They out there taking the spoil. So it wasn't like they were like, oh man, you did that, man. They're like, oh, let's go get what they got. Let's go see. Hey, hold on, they got women out there. Okay, they got, you know what I'm saying? They got cattle. They got riches. They got resources. Oh, we could build a nation with that. You know what? You know what that tells you? That tells you that these men cared more about their nation than the other nations. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of spirit it takes to build an everlasting world, a world without end. That's what it takes to build the nation of Israel. Is you have to prefer your own people to the point where even when something tragic like that happens, you have to be willing to set your carnal feelings aside and understand that warfare is warfare. And hell, they disrespected our people. Let's not forget who transgressed first. The chief among them, the prince, defiled one of the daughters of the sons of Jacob. That's that, right? If you allow that to slide, then what kind of reputation does that bring to your people? See, Simeon and Levi understood this. They were not having it. And the actions that they did, you better believe the Most High ordained for them to happen. They didn't go against the Most High when they did that. Now, of course, it brought some fear upon Jacob because he started to become unsure about their future, right? Because they're still small among the people that are around them. So let's continue to get more and understand more about the culture that is being built right in front of us as we read these scriptures. Go ahead.
Because they had defiled their sister.
That's why they did it. They did that. It says each man took his sword, or the two brothers, and came upon the city boldly and slew all the males. And they slew Hamor and Shechem, the son, with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went out. Now, anywhere in this chapter, does it mention Dinah's reaction to that? Does it mention her feelings about it? Oh, you ruined my fun. I just met this dude. It don't matter. Because you know what overrides your feelings and your want to have fun? The reputation of your people. You understand? But our women nowadays, they don't have that zeal in them. They have to find it again. Because nowadays, they want to be on TikTok and music videos shaking their ass for the whole world to see. They don't care about the reputation that Israel has. They don't even know that they're Israel, first of all. So once you get that out the way, then you got to actually start caring about how your people are seeing. But all that she cared about, from what it seemed like, was that she met a prince. He had money. He had what he wanted. He had everything that she needed. So for her to be comfortable, you understand? She was tired of sleeping in tents. She wanted to sleep in the big house. They took her out of that house, and they killed all those men. They killed the king, the son, all the men of that city while they were in their torment, of course, the soreness. And well, that's our nation. That's who we are. Like, they're not to be played with. Israel is not to be played with. And the Most High is right now, he's setting an example, and the other nations are to be seeing this and for fear to be spread across them. Are they going to step up and try to fight these people when they hear that 2 men took out a whole city? You understand? That's going to be the legend of Levi and Simeon. These cats, they went and killed a whole entire city of men, took all the women, took all the children, took all the goods, the resources, the cattle. That's the representation now. Instead of it being, oh, these people are bitch made because they let their daughter get taken like that. Now it's these people are to be feared because somebody disrespected one of their daughters. That's the representation that Israel started to make a name for themselves in the land that's, of course, close to Esau, because that's where they settled, near that, right? But go ahead. Let's get more on that.
Verse 28. They took their sheep and their oxen and their asses, and they were in the city, that which was in the field.
Yeah, how long it takes to gather all that? It's going to take a long time. You understand? Gathering all that. They didn't let nothing go to waste. Keep going.
And all their wealth, and all their little ones, and all their wives took they captive.
They took, wait, what verse is that again?
29.
29? I just need the definition of that word, captive, right here. They took what?
And their wives took they captive.
Shabbat. The word means to take captive, to lead captive. Okay? To carry away. So they was with the program at the end of the day. Them women, they needed men to take care of them. You understand? And they just went with whoever stood up next. So their men died. I'm sure a lot of them were grieving, but they had to get with the program lest they be killed too. I'm pretty sure some of them didn't want to be assimilated by them, but that's what was going to happen anyways. But now it's going to be on Israel's terms and not the Hivites' terms. Go ahead.
And spoiled even all that was in the house. Verse 30. And Jacob said it to Simeon and Levi, ye have troubled me to make me to stink among the inhabitants of the land.
Right, and this is what Jacob was worried about. He said, now you just put a target on all of our backs because of your dealings here, where you're going to be seen as deceitful. I mean, you got to understand, the Most High is a man of war. That's the spirit he put on his people. And Jacob right here, he's battling. He, of course, allowed his sons to be leaders in this situation. And he sees that it went south, and now he needs to now plan the next step, right? And so they need to inquire of the Most High so that they know what they need to do next so that they don't get destroyed. But he says that you have troubled me to make me stink among the inhabitants of the land. Go ahead.
Among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And I being few in number,
Mhm.
they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me. And I shall be destroyed, and I and my house.
Yeah, he's like, you realize what you just did? Now we all gonna die because of y'all. Now there's a chance that now they're all gonna join up and ally up against us because they're gonna have to stomp us out before we grow and be bigger and then become even more of a threat. They're gonna want to try to do that sooner. Of course, that's him at that moment. Go ahead.
Verse 31. And they said, should he deal with our sister as with a harlot?
Man, imagine getting the last word against your own father and you being correct. You understand? Because when you have the zeal of the Most High with you and you have that warlike mentality, there's going to come a time where your fathers are going to look up to you because of the things that you say, that he knows in the back of his mind that your zeal is driven with courage and is correct. That's what said, look, should he deal with our sister with a harlot? Well, he can't no more because he's dead, right? And now she can't be no harlot because she ain't got no husband no more. Right? And so that's the end of that chapter right there. What we'll do is let's see if we could go ahead and get a little bit more, but it's going to go into chapter 35. I want to try to get some of this too because I don't want to leave on this cliffhanger because it continues from here because they need to now make the next step. They done absorbed the whole Hittite, you know what I'm saying, city. They took all the resources to themselves. They're now the royalty in that land, and now they have to decide on what needs to happen next.
What? You said what?
Go to chapter 35.
35.
Yeah, that's the next verse. We're going to read that in the Hebrew now. So let's go ahead and go back to the Hebrew. Yeah, we got time. We're just going to read the first 7 verses. So right after the... Basically, after that whole situation happened,
Hold on, because we still got to clean the signs and everything.
we got to do that.
Okay.
All right, let's go ahead and end it on that. All right, Ahmad,
We can do it yesterday.
pick up on that next time.
Slow one.
Yeah. Right past that tool.
What goes on your shoulder? Is it the right shoulder?
Yeah, that's fine. All right, Madim, Sar, which means to turn. Opanya Hakadam means to face the east. We're gonna finish off with the Lord's Prayer. Go ahead.
Abanaw,
Abanaw,
Shubashmat,
Shabashamat,
Kodash,
Kodash,
Hayat,
Hayat,
Shamka,
Shamkat,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Balatuka,
Balakwatka,
Tabaa,
Taba'ah,
Ratzaka,
Ratazaka,
Hayat,
Hayat,
Aisha,
Aishat,
Baratza,
Rataza,
Kawa,
Kawa,
Hayat,
Hayat,
Bashmat,
Bashman,
Latanana,
Thona,
Lakam,
Hum,
Ka,
Ka,
Wam,
Wam,
Wasalakna,
Wasalakna,
Kabawatna,
Kababatna,
Kasalakna,
Kasalakna,
Kabawatina,
Kababatina,
Walala,
Wala'ah,
Kabiana,
Kabi'aina,
Wamasai one,
Banasaya 1,
Abba,
Abal,
Aishana,
Outshina,
Mayan,
Mayan,
Ra,
Right,
Hayat,
Hayat,
Laka,
Laka,
Amalakwa,
Amalakwa,
Wala,
Wahala,
Wata Parat,
Wataparat,
Alamu,
I will love you. Come on. And what we said was, Our Father,
Our Father,
which art in heaven,
which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
thy kingdom come,
thy kingdom come,
thy will be done
thy will be done
in earth
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day
Give us this day
our daily bread,
our daily bread.
and forgive us our debts
Give us our debts
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not
Lead us not
into temptation,
into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
Thine is the kingdom
and the power,
and the power
and the glory,
and the glory.
forever. So be it.
So be it.
All right, with that, Sar. I think, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and scroll. Right. We'll go over here. Let me know once the camera's good, right? All right, but go ahead and go over here. You're gonna stand right there. We're gonna salute scroll. So you just gotta stand right here. Yeah, Bashim, y'all stop right. Yeah.
Yahweh Shemel Shabbat, yeah.
Roll back over here. Is that good? All right, go ahead and set this down here. All right.
Oh, you're going to tell me one more time?
Yeah, go ahead. Turn this way. Same thing as last time. We're going to turn this way. And then you're going to say, La Yasha Allah.
La Yashaya.
La Yasha Allah.
Go ahead and sip that. Yeah, go ahead. All right, with that, we're going to turn to give the brothers one courtesy salute. All right, individual, Madra Shabbat. Madra Shabbat is going to be basically feet shoulder width apart with your hands fisted, closed behind your back. And then that's a Madra Shabbat. And then we say a Madim, which means to stand like this. Barak. Yahweh Shemi al Shai Brakathum. Go ahead. Or we say it at the same time. Yahweh Shemi al Shai Brakathum. Yad Yomata, which means hands down. All right. What's up?
Obviously, you gotta say it slow. He's number.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Sar, which means the turn. Usually, in a full classroom setting, there'll be the brothers on this side and the sisters on this side. So the sisters will be over here. And then we're going to say, we're going to give the sisters one courtesy salute. So at that point, the sisters will stand up and then they'll stand like this. And then when we'll say Amadim Shabbat, again, we come across like this. And we'll say Amadim Barak. Now, there's a difference. It goes Yahweh, Shamar, Alathan, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. So we'll say it one more time. Yahweh, Shamar, Alathan, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Then they'll repeat it, and they will say Yad Yomata, which means hands down. Class dismissed. And when we say class dismissed, you just turn about face. Make sure you stomp that right foot after you turn, and then that'll be into the class. You can clap it up, and that close out the Sabbath service. That's when he'll go ahead and turn the stream off. You know what I'm saying? Now, another thing, just to kind of be thorough here, is at this point in time, usually around this point, we'll ask if anybody wants to be anointed